Your Excellency, dear colleagues, families and friends, and especially dear graduates. As a tentative audience, you will have noticed that I'm not Vice Rector Baccarini. To her great regret, she cannot be here today as she has an important assignment abroad. So I have the honor, the privilege, and particularly the pleasure to represent her and the University of Vienna on this wonderful occasion. And for me, joy and honor are somewhat doubled, as I'm not only Professor of International Law at the University of Vienna, but as some of you might know, I also teach at the Vienna School of International Studies. So allow me to briefly quote from Goethe's Faust, "Two souls, alas, are housed within my breast." I will not go on, though, with Faust saying that each will wrestle for the mastery there, which of course is not true. And Faust is not appropriate here because Faust is a tragedy. And today is a day of rejoicing. That's what we are here for. And neither is this ceremony about me, it's about you. It is your day. It is your day of celebration. It is a day of celebration, but as I meant, it's also a day of reflection. Reflection of what you certainly have achieved, of what you have built, of what you have learned and experienced, of the friendships you made, the fun you had, the parties you might not probably remember, but also of what you may have endured, and maybe, although I don't hope so, but probably for those who I had the pleasure to supervise, what you might have suffered. And if you look at the last 2 years in hindsight, what is on the balance sheet? As a teacher involved in the MAIS for 20 years now, actually it's really, this year it's 20 years, I have been, and I'm still being asked, at least from time to time, what the special merit of this interdisciplinary program would be. Now it seems that some people have the impression that in the MAIS, students get to know a little bit of everything, but nothing in detail. It is, to be sure, a difficult task to weigh the exact degree of interdisciplinarity into the program. The question is how much of everything, and on that basis, finding the right mix of interdisciplinarity certainly is looking for the magic bullet. Now, in preparing my short speech today, I did some research. And I came across, in the archives actually, I came across a sort of first draft of the statute of what in 1983 was called Lehrgang, sort of Program for International Studies, which is the sort of pre-draft of what is now the MAIS. And it was initially exclusively offered here at the University of Vienna before that cooperation with the Diplomatic Academy ensued. And it is interesting to see that interdisciplinarity was at the program, on the agenda from its very beginning, yet it was only in German. And if we look at the curriculum, the main focus lay on typically Austrian issues like neutrality and problems of small states, East-West relations, international organizations with particular focus on the North-South problematique. Now, to some extent, of course, to a great extent, of course, times have changed. Now, whatever the stance of outsiders towards the program might be, I firmly believe that the approach of the MAIS program is well balanced. It provides for adequate breadth so as to give students a general and basic knowledge of the disciplines covered: economics, history, international relations, political science, and of course, above all, the law, which you see here on the painting as well. These are actually, for those in the audience who don't know that, Gustav Klimt's paintings of the faculties. Unfortunately, these are just reproductions because the originals did not survive World War II. So, to the skeptics, I may confidently and firmly respond that my students, and I hope you will agree, get just enough of everything to become solid generalists and still have plenty of opportunities to dig deeper in those areas of discipline and disciplines in which they are more interested. And after all, I'm sure that interdisciplinarity is a value of its own. It is therefore an easy task for me now to tell you that the University of Vienna is proud of that long-lasting cooperation with the Vienna School of International Studies, and it is particularly proud of the excellent students that graduate every year and testify to that invaluable and fruitful cooperation between these two renowned institutions. Now, of course, we do not live in a perfect world, nor are we as teachers or are the institutions we work for without flaws. There is always room for improvement, continuously, and for all of us, in a sense, continuing education. There surely are things that could have been better. But I sincerely do hope that the previous 2 years during the MAIS program have fully equipped you with the requisite skills and know-how, with the necessary fundament on which to build a successful and fulfilling career in the future, wherever it will bring you. You called your cohort Generation Passionate Thinkers. What a wonderful designation. Indeed, what an excellent choice. Passionate thinkers combine the heart with the mind. They are full of positive energy, convey feelings of rational hope and conscious desire. And they are open to face the challenges the future might and certainly will bring. We do need passionate thinkers nowadays, probably more than we ever did, not the least in view of the deplorable state we find our world in. When diplomacy has reached a dead end and politicians have run out of ideas, unlocking the stalemate and returning to the path of diplomacy may be a fitting, although maybe a little bit over-ambitious task for young passionate thinkers. At any rate, passionate thinkers may find new ways of strengthening the belief in the common cause, where others have completely lost any belief in diplomacy. And I consider that extremely important, both in the literal and the figurative sense. For diplomacy sometimes reminds me of the invisible fairy Tinkerbell from J.M. Barrie's play Peter Pan. Tinkerbell is both a vulnerable and a powerful creature. Her very existence depends upon others believing in her and saying so. But when she is believed in, she not only exists, but she can perform magic, even to the point of changing the course of the story. It is now up to the generation passionate thinkers, up to you, to strengthen the belief in diplomacy so that it will change not only the course of the story, but maybe the course of history. So as for today, your future is beyond our control. I hope and I'm sure that this does not mean that it will be out of control or governed by force majeure. Rather, it lies in your own hands. To borrow once more, and I'm sorry, but it's the last time, to borrow from Goethe's Faust, to other shores beckons a new day. And for that journey to pastures new, I passionately and thoughtfully wish you all the best.
Dear Professor Wittich, dear members of the faculty, ladies and gentlemen, dear soon-to-be graduates of the 26th MAIS, as you heard, generation passionate thinkers, and also welcome to all of those who join us on the live stream. As you know, this is your last day at the Diplomatische Akademie. But I disagree with what you just heard about that you are out of our control now. First of all, I believe that you understand what I mean by saying that. And secondly, in very practical terms, I hope you all join the Alumni Association that we have here at the Diplomatic Academy. This is a day of celebration in difficult times. You know that. When you started with your course, you all had to take COVID tests. A few months afterwards, there was a lockdown in Vienna. One couldn't go into the public. And only a half a year later, someone in the east of Europe decided to attack the Ukraine. And then the polycrisis continued. You know all that. Excellent stuff for you to learn. Excellent stuff. I'm sure it was difficult. But the beauty lies in overcoming these difficulties. And we are here in Vienna, and in Vienna, one has always to speak about Sigmund Freud. And Sigmund Freud told us something, not you, but everybody. He said, one day in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. From your faces, I see you already have reached the state that you look at the last 2 years as having been beautiful. And that's good. That's, I think, how it should be. Because this is one of the great moments at the end of each academic year, when I say my welcome to you, the students who will in a few minutes become graduates of the Diplomatic Academy. Welcome to the parents and to all our partners that we have here for this occasion. And because we all have time to celebrate the whole day, I would like also to remind you, especially for those who do not remember the first sentence of George Orwell, 1984. This is not an exam, so you don't have to raise your hand. But the first sentence is very simple. It starts, "It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clock was striking 13. The clock was striking 13. But let me come back to the 2 years. I hope you cherished what you have experienced here. I hope you liked the community of people from all corners of the earth as much as I did. Because this is what the Vienna School of International Studies is about. Living and working with people of very different backgrounds, from very different countries and with very different academic and otherwise experiences, and different ways of thinking. I promised you at the beginning, 2 years ago, we will not offer you a safe space. No safe space. But we hope at the end you understand why we say we have to go beyond, to understand maybe where safe spaces are necessary and how you can create them if you see them necessary. We are very proud of you. 59 students from 23 countries from 4 continents. And about 2/3 coming from abroad, 1/3 my Austrian compatriots. And the male-female ratio is quite okay, 31 females, 28 male. And the studies background, we have the usual suspects, as always. The faculty always cherishes the usual suspects. those who come from international relations, law, political science, economics, but I always cherish the rest of you even more. Some of you come from supply chain and marketing science, archaeology, medicine, engineering, Japanese, Arabic, and a few historians. I don't tell you why I cherish the historians most. And your academic year had many high points. Most of them you created, actually. You were able to practice diplomacy during 2 students' conferences, the DASICons, one about the future of food and one about deglobalization. Indeed, very timely topics. And you negotiated a legally binding agreement addressing marine biological diversity in an UN simulation. Next time, please make sure that the UN system works better in reality. But it's not time for criticism, but it's a time for you to show that you want to participate. And some of you were part of our exchange programs at the Hebrew University, Stanford, and 2 students from Stanford were able to come here for the first trimester. And 4 colleagues joined you this year from Denver, Corbell School, and one of them is here today, as I know. I also want to welcome 4 of your colleagues who spent the first MAIS year with you and then moved on to spend the second year with our partner institutions, 3 at Johns Hopkins in Bologna and 1 at Tufts University Fletcher School in the US. During these 2 academic years, you did not only study all these things in times of disruption, obviously, but you were also able to do all these things which make up the special character of this school. You worked within your students' organizations, the DASI. You worked to have your own magazine, Polemics. Sometimes was not sure whether I like what you wrote, but I'm happy that you wrote it. You were active in more than 15 different student committees and societies, and you started a Slavic society also. You have been already now our student ambassadors. That is absolutely true. Well, obviously, you like to mobilize your body, so you played billiard, table tennis, football, volleyball, a tennis tournament. You sang in the choir, with the choir, some of you, and you rehearsed with the DA band. And because the body needs more than that, you went back to tasting wine, some of you, yes, and you successfully participated in international competitions. You celebrated the Chinese New Year of the Rabbit with one of our chairs of the faculty, and a number of you went to the Pride Parade recently under the slogan Diplomats for Equality. You were part of the largest DA delegation ever to be in Brussels, more than 120 altogether. And a few of you participated in our first study trip to Israel, again with one of our professors here at the university, and a few went to Geneva and some to Iraqi Kurdistan. And of course, the highlight of the last few months was your master thesis preparation. From your faces I see you have a different opinion. Of course, one of your highlights was going for 2 weeks on a bus through the Balkans. Not on an adventure tour. Going to a very European part of this continent, but learning how the different characters within such a small region can make a difference, can be difficult in politics. You met presidents, you were eating cevapcici, you were armed with a useful reader, a stimulating playlist, as I know, and daily history lessons on the bus. You also had the chance to attend events with all sorts of high-ranking officials of international organizations and academics. And all through these 2 years, I shouldn't forget the events the director is better off not to know about. The Tipsy Weasel was for sure one of those things. Not to mention to your parents that we have neighbors on our campus who don't like to understand that it doesn't make sense to sleep after 2 o'clock in the morning. And not forget, tomorrow you will have you will join our legendary Summerfest. So in short, you were studying together, traveling together, celebrating together, simply living together. And we did our best to provide you with the best perspectives for what will come next to you. I hope you made an extensive use of all the career service we have, because we do understand that it's about developing your personality, but it's also about finding the right spot on the career ladder. But I always say, and I guess you understand what I mean, that you should rather read profiles encouraged by Mr. Kennedy than read any of these handbooks for how to make a career in marketing or wherever. We would not have been able to offer all this, as you know, with the help of at least 3 groups of people to whom I would like to express my special grateful. First of all, the faculty, who made all these things difficult. They made sure that you have all this academic spirit that it needs. And they do not hinder you to make all the social intelligence possible that is as well necessary to survive and to make an impact. Also, my thanks goes certainly to the postdocs, the visiting professors, guest lecturers, the dedication to what we always say, the fundamental values of openness and the liberal world order are the basis of the work of this institution. Another group I would sincerely like to thank our sponsors, be it private persons, many of them graduates themselves, like our former director Paul Leifer. I see him here in the second row. And Thank you, Paul. This is a difficult, actually, group of people. I'm talking about now about my own people at the academy. So I apologize if you didn't get in the last few months all the attention you deserve. But also Herbert Kort, who is supposed to be with us. Yes, he's here. Please give a round of applause to Herbert Kort. Herbert is now continuously supporting us, not only himself, but making contacts to other people who might support the Vienna School of International Studies. But my thanks goes to all other companies, organizations, banks that support this institution. Some of you, as you know, would not be standing here or sitting here at the moment had it not been for the generous support of these sponsors. But last but not least, the biggest group in the room deserves a mention: your parents, your friends, and my own staff at the DA, I think. Altogether, I hope you had a rewarding, productive, enjoyable years here with us. We are proud of you. This diverse group of 59 talented and, as you heard already, passionate young people. As you know, the Vienna School looks back at the history of almost 270 years, having been started by this sort of people, Maria Theresia, in 1754. You are now part of this glorious tradition. But I hope you will also help not only to shape our tradition, but to shape the future in any way you can. You have proven that you actively contributed to the DA life in these years. You will leave here as alumni, and we hope that you will be active parts of our international community. We have a network of alumni from 120 countries, and please join one of the local chapters. That's what I expect of you. It is the DA's goal to stay closely connected to the alumni and to follow their interesting and successful careers as much as possible. Again, as your course name says, I have to repeat, you're a group of passionate thinkers. And passion is the most important. The second point is courage, but no recommendations from the director. Because you have to understand, I hope we helped you, why this is important and what you should do. So please go into the world as responsible and active citizens in this ever-changing world. And I started with the first sentence of George Orwell. And you know, there is a response to this first sentence, to the clock striking 13. And the response is a children's riddle that asks, what time is it when the clock strikes 13? The answer is, time to buy a new clock. So after these 2 years, in spite of everything I said and we did to you, it's time to buy a new clock. I wish every one of you all the best for your future. You worked hard for this moment, so enjoy this ceremony. Thank you very much.
Dear Professor Wittich, dear Director, dear Deputy Director, dear parents, distinguished guests, and most of all, dear students. Imagine our Vienna School of International Studies as a medieval castle, mighty castle. On the face of it, you look at strong walls, a moat around it. Outside, there are crowds of young people, all requesting admittance to the famous castle. But the drawbridge only opens to the few chosen ones. On the other side of the drawbridge waits Lady Jenny with her orientation week. There, the lord of the castle himself speaks to the chosen ones. A somewhat capricious lot of scholars welcomes you as well. One of them guides you to a strange, almost windowless room where projections on the wall add up to a movie about spies, occupation, crime, and sewer tunnels. Some of you even get your own chamber, high up on the castle. At the heart of the castle is a large two-story communal space. Strangely enough, there's no banquet table, no throne or anything like that, but a bar, pool table, television, and what have you. Yet very much in line with medieval traditions, there's plenty of wild carousing in the hall. The later, the wilder, especially on Thursdays. With apologies to the parents and other invited guests, no further information on this. What happens within the walls stays within the walls. The longer the novices stay at the castle, the more they realize that there's not just partying, but there's also plenty of studying. The first 2 terms are rather hellish. These scholars go off into all kinds of different directions: history, economics, politics, and law, and all kinds of languages on top of it. To make matters worse, these scholars increasingly demand that students not only somehow force all of this material into their heads, but actually link it together, putting their own spin on things. These scholars oftentimes refer to this with a strange Latin name, argumentation, argumentatio, to prove something, to give evidence for something, to connect various things to prove something. All very medieval, right? In our times, own ideas in the age of ChatGPT and Bing. The Lord and the scholars are oftentimes merciless, gruesome. If students misbehave, for example, by using a bit of modern technology, they are dragged in front of a court. There are some rumors about torture, even about a pit about 100 meters deep where delinquents are thrown into. It's underneath what they somehow innocuously call H7. I can assure you that these rumors are merely rumors, referring perhaps to a distant past. In our days, the Lord and the scholars may appear to be more merciless than they actually are, and the pit, for better or for worse, has been filled some years ago. What used to be novices turn more and more into the artisans making the castle shine. They organize events at the great hall downstairs. The artisans organize debates. Some come to all kinds of events, organize a ball, Christmas extravaganza, and so on. These are moments where everyone comes together. Lord, deputy lord, scholars, and all the other people inhabiting the castle. These really are great moments to be remembered. This is such a moment. Although you are basically already standing on the drawbridge again, different direction this time around, going out, leaving the castle. Perhaps it is quite fitting then that we do not meet at our castle, but here. This is an even older one, a great friend of ours. Actually, over 200 years ago, we inhabited the same castle, close to the Jesuit church in downtown Vienna. The friendship and close connection has remained, and for this, I want to thank the representative of the Lord of this castle. Stephan, I always knew that deep down you're an audacious knight. Otherwise, it would be impossible to teach all of these international law courses. One has to admit that our walls do not protect us from everything. Indeed, there have been quite a few earthquakes of late, shaking the foundations of our castle. Our Lord and Deputy Lord in full armor and waving huge shields in their hands, occasionally also a sword, rush from one end of the castle to the next, trying to make sure that every stone stays on top of the other. Dear Director, dear Deputy Director, many thanks for this. We are confident that we will weather the storm. This is a very venerable institution with plenty of history and tradition. This makes us strong. But now to you, my soon-to-be graduates. We are, within the walls, a closely knit community. Still, when I look at you, my castle metaphor breaks down altogether. We educated you in order to go out there into the world, precisely not to hide anywhere behind imaginary mighty walls, but to go out there and steer all kinds of international, transnational, and national flows into warranted directions. To be the kind of internationally and transnationally minded elite that the 21st century needs so badly and that it clearly has a shortage of. Castles will forever be with us in our perhaps sometimes too romanticizing imagination, but that's it. The age of fortresses is long gone. Do me one last favor. It's the last time that I can speak to you like this. Never forget the argumentatio. I know, that sounds very medieval. And even worse, it goes back at least to the old Romans and Greeks. And none of the Greeks put this better than Aristotle. He distinguished between three dimensions of speech: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is about someone who is recognized as a speaker, and that obviously is something important. But no one should be believed simply because people believe in him or her. And this even applies to influencers somewhere on the social media. Pathos is about playing around with emotions. At times you will appeal to emotions when you speak, write, and so on, but please up to a point. Deepfakes, for example, can trigger all kinds of emotional responses that have, however, precious little to do with proper deliberation. Logos does not have it easy these days. Political debates, even economic ones, are not necessarily about the exchange of rational arguments. But without that, I fear, we will not get anywhere. Not personally, not as a people, not as a democracy, and not as humanity. Dear students, on behalf of the faculty, I have the honor to congratulate you to your achievements. In a few minutes from now, you will graduate, be proud of what you have accomplished. There will never be a drawbridge that has to be lowered for you. Our doors will always remain open to you. Stay in touch with us at the same time. Go out there into the world, believe in yourself, and develop your potential.
We will call now the graduates of the 26th Master of Advanced International Studies. Alexandra Baklaja, Serbia. Anubhav Banerjee, India. Sofia Becanovic, Serbia. Iseul Besnard, France. Leon Brink, Germany. Larissa Buranich, Austria. Alla Chanagalov, Germany. Eva Deibel-Siegel, Austria. Brian Patrick Dennehy, United States. Julia Drössler, Austria, United States. Sarah Duhazet, Austria, France. Kilian Dvorak-Stocker, Austria. Evelyn Carolina Eglinton, Canada. Nina Ernst, Austria. Anna-Sophie Fèvre, Austria. Christoph Felten, Luxembourg. Julia Fischer, Austria. Anna Maria Pfister, Austria. Emmanuel Fosu, Ghana. Evan Maxwell Frank, United States. Henri Gasquet, France. Chiara Graziani, Italy. Maximilian Heidvogel, Austria, Germany. Isabel Hartlieb, Austria. Juliana Höftberger, Austria. Ernst Benedikt Helmut Höfter, Germany. Peter Janisch, Slovakia. Jason Daniel Kanzilaj, United States. Bezalot Kebede Kassa, Ethiopia. Valeria Kiparisova, Russian Federation. Victor Kirima, Kenya. Jona Lampert, Austria. Filippo Laurini, Italy, Luxembourg. Anna Sophie Lux, Austria. Nikola Marinkovic, Serbia. Ava Grace Milenchuk, Canada. Matthias Mersic, Austria. Lucas Mizzelli, Austria. Matthew Moyers, United States, Croatia. Felix Leonhard Müller, Austria. Dorothea Agnes Neverkla, Austria. Jasper James William Newport, United Kingdom. Maria Ovcharenko, Ukraine. Vicky Akini Ower, Kenya. Stephanie Pais Raposo, Portugal, Schweiz. Georg Erik Palla, Hungary. Corbinian Prinz von Bayern, Germany. Adityan Putten Feetel, India. Shaira Elaine Francisco Rabi, Philippines. Ema Odra Raščan, Slovenia. Angelina Schmidt, Germany. Daria Shumilova, Russian Federation, United Kingdom. Guillaume Sorel, France, United Kingdom. Michael Steger, Italy. Ksenia Sumkina, Russian Federation. Christine Rosemary Uhlig, Austria, United Kingdom. Richter, First Laus, the Netherlands. Mila Valentina Wölfer, Austria.
Dear Ambassador Brix, professors, faculty, esteemed guests, friends and family, and most importantly, graduates. 2 years ago, at our inauguration, Ambassador Brix welcomed us to the DA with the words, "The beginning feels like a cruise ship before it leaves. New people and the excitement of learning something new." Safe to say, we have definitely been on a journey in the past 2 years. Whether this can be considered a cruise, I will leave up to you individually to decide. And I wager that that would change slightly according to individual, whether you're a student or a professor or a member of staff. And particularly, it might change from student to student for the professors and the faculty as well. The sea might have occasionally been rough, but luckily, we all know how to swim. And if we didn't, we definitely do now.
We would like to thank those of you who have supported us graduates throughout the last 2 years. The DA staff, the administration, the professors, our thesis supervisors, but also our core speakers, ombudspersons, colleagues and loved ones who are here to celebrate us today. Without your support over the past 633 days, we would not be here today. We bring together, as Ambassador Brix rightly said, 23 nations from 4 continents in a cohort of 59 students. Each of us has had a different experience at the DA, a different background, took different classes, and each and every experience is truly unique. But we all shared one common goal: to pass the history exam in term 2 of MAIS 1. No, just kidding, to graduate. Even in that history class, Professor Rowe described the international system as a game of pool, a delicate interplay of forces and powers, some of which you really don't want to sink. The same applies at the TA. Who to ask for advice, whose study notes to borrow, or whose to avoid, as well as which porter is least likely to snitch. All valuable tools to have mastered as we start our careers.
Many of us have been on study trips to Geneva, to Brussels, Kurdistan, Israel, and the Western Balkans, as well as many unofficial trips that have taken place in the student body to neighbouring nations and through Austria, each of which has grown our friendships and our knowledge. There's nothing quite like a crisis abroad without cell service, without Wi-Fi, without a common language with the locals, to really bring a group together. I speak from experience. And especially when you have to come up with a unanimous, coherent explanation for why we're doing parties after hours, when it was explicitly forbidden. And we were subsequently banned from playing pool more than once at the Tipsy Weasel. Much to discover that we are not, however, alone in doing illegal parties. Governments and public officials who shall of course remain nameless, have also been known to partake in such activities. And although they were also having illegal parties that obviously weren't parties, as we all know, the politicians and us did have something in common. Some of us got away with it, and some of us didn't. We are not here to name and shame, because this is the beginning of diplomacy in practice, starting as we mean to continue.
But, of course, life was not all about parties and evil. We also did some studying, at least the week before exams, and also we obviously did all the course readings before every class. I congratulate those of you who really did it, and say thank you on behalf of the rest of us who didn't, who you saved by generously sharing your notes. Not all heroes wear capes, but some can be found online. ChatGPT. Academically and socially, it has been a truly wild ride. From societies being able to host live events again, to organizing the first ball, the A-ball in 3 years, we really have received a rounded education, ranging from solving complex academic issues, such as how to use the DA printers, to practical knife knowledge, such as handling MA35 and, most important, where to get the cheapest beer. However, one of our collective achievements was a true example of group effort. For the first time ever, we've been told, we finished all of the beer on our bus ride to Sarajevo on the very first day of the Western Balkans trip.
If we could tell the story of each person here, we would, and I would love to do that because everyone who is here, who's in this class, brings something truly unique to the DA and also to the MAIS 26 group. But to give you a flavor of who is sitting in the room, we look to our annual yearbook polls, where we as colleagues can vote for our colleagues in certain categories. So among us sit the person who is most likely to lead a double life, person with the best laugh, the person with the strongest liver, the person who is most likely to be on a reality TV show, and finally, the person most likely to become the Secretary General of the UN. So you can see we have quite a diverse group of people here today. And not only that, but Generation Passionate Thinkers are working with every cue in the book to win the global game of pool, so to speak, and therefore testing and proving the hypothesis that the DA is indeed educating global leaders.
So, today is the day that we've been working towards for 2 years. We are finally done in graduates, which means no more exams, papers, seminars, no more thesis to write, no more IDS, no more gruesome, long and enduring lectures we have to listen to. But, and maybe, only one last foto di gruppo, ragazzi, remains.
Many Weißer Spritzer and Karl Ludwig coffees and Tipsy Thursdays later, we move on to follow our dreams and build our careers. Or maybe we're still figuring out what that means. But either way, regardless of where we go, remember, say cheese and
say cheese again.
Thank you.
Thank you.